Hey guys, so okay, what do you think about this? I picked up these two airbrush guns from a garage sale recently, and I got them really cheaply. I don't know how popular airbrushing is these days, what with digital options out there, but I've seen some really great work online with some airbrushes hooked up to markers, these design markers. Okay, and there are a couple of systems out there. The majority of them that you can buy today are for kids, and they use these low end markers, and of course, it's proprietary for the marker, and the actual the airbrush gun is plastic and cheap, and you have to use compressed air. But with these professional artist and designer airbrushes, you can buy them brand new still, I think, from the company website, and they're actually pretty great. They're really well made. And so what do you think about this? What if we design a custom attachment that will universally attach to just about any professional airbrush and allow you to use a range of sizes and shapes of these design markers? What if? I don't know.
Anyway, keep watching. This video is about the design process to develop, hopefully we're successful, a universal attachment for these awesome old school airbrushing guns. Alright.
Okay, so we got our sketch, and just got to take a few measurements. Oh wait, coffee. Yeah. So, gobble this down. Right, back to the measurements. So these airbrushes are actually made by two different manufacturers. There's the Posh and the Badger. There might be other makers, but these are the two that I purchased at a garage sale recently. So these are the ones I'm basing the design off of. However, there are a lot of the Posh variety, but I think that they have some common dimensional references that we can use to try to make this universal attachment. So right here I took a photograph of the units, and I'm going to go ahead and scale them to the actual length and width measurements of the part in a JPEG image or a PNG, and I'm going to import that into my CAD program because I use that as an underlay. That's going to give me it's going to make it a little bit easier to pull dimensions and reference them to make sure that we have a model of these two airbrush guns accurately built and rendered in our CAD program. This is going to make it a lot easier to figure out what surfaces and geometries are common between the two units, and let us make decisions for creating this attachment. So I'm probably spending a little too much time modeling these airbrush guns, but it will be useful, and I would like to see them overlaid. It'll be really easy to spot the common geometries that are going to allow us to create a universal attachment. So we got to talk about the material, actually, because ultimately we want to create a prototype. So we got to 3D print it as something really good, like this Nylon X. It's the best. Trust me, you should get some. So I'm going to go ahead and warm up my printers, and we're going to fast forward through the CAD building, and I'll show you what we came up with in just a minute here. This essentially is what I'm thinking for draft 1 of the device, and put it onto the rendering program and make sure it looks good. Oh yeah, I'm digging that. Oh, let's add a little metal. Okay, that's sexy. All right, so we need to 3D print this bad boy and see if it works. We know it looks good, but does it work? Well, the only way to find out is to make a prototype. So we're gonna 3D print it out of this Nylon X material. It's very tough and flexible, nearly impossible to remove from the build plate. This stuff is so tenacious, and you have to print it with a skirt, a pretty large skirt, otherwise it warps. As you can see, I'm just gonna peel that off right here in this clip, And yeah, here it is. It's came off pretty well. Good layer adhesion. Nice quality prototype. I'm just gonna. This is time consuming, sanding, ripping off the support material. And anyway, here it is. I heat polished it, but sad to say, I think it's a little too thick. It's not quite as flexible as it needs to be. It's really hard to attach to the Badger, and probably will be very difficult to attach to the Posh. And also, it's not flexible enough. And the scale maybe doesn't give you the range that would be necessary for accommodating a lot of different markers. So thumbs down on that one, and we're just gonna get back to the drawing board. So a little time lapse, do a new sketch. It's always good to do a sketch, kind of plan it out, take what we learned from the previous work, and there you have it. Fast forward to the new design. This is draft version 2.0, and of course, after going through a design process of the first version, testing it out, doing a new sketch, updating the CAD, rendering it, I am very confident that this is the best case scenario. So we're going to go ahead and 3D print this. These parts are a little more versatile. We included a flexible soft material, and we made this the Nylon X, a lot thinner and more flexible and more universal to attach to both the units. So I went ahead and printed out a bunch of different parts for 3 assemblies, and I'm going to go ahead and fast forward to the final product, and here it is. As you can see, I've heat polished everything, and then brought a handful of markers to test them with, and everything looks pretty good. I've assembled them all, and they do seem to work universally with the Bosch. And something that I discovered while I was designing is that you can assemble them vertically or horizontally, and you can see that the rubberized insert pops right out. That's a flexible filament you're going to want to use if you 3D print these yourself. But anyhow, see, you can use it both in the up position or the down position. So it can hang below the airbrush gun, or you can attach it to the top of the airbrush gun. So that's kind of a nice feature, especially for it to accommodate universally to a lot of different airbrush gun types. So anyway, it also definitely works with a bunch of different markers. As you can see here, I'm using the cheaper Blick Studio markers, which are real juicy and cost about $1 less than the really expensive design markers do. But and maybe even this paint pen will work. Yeah, but it definitely works with the Badger, and it works with the Posh as well. So we'll have to think of a name for this universal airbrush marker attachment, but here it is. We're letting her rip. This is the maiden voyage of the whatever it's called gadget, and it seems to work pretty well. And one thing about the adjustability is actually pretty great, because you can adjust the angle and the depth of the marker. So you can have the air close to the tip, a little bit further away from the tip, and adjusting the angle allows you to create different effects. Here you can see I don't have a lot of experience with airbrushing, but it seems to work a lot like a standard airbrush would, and only you get to use your design markers. So imagine you're working on a composition and you plan on using your markers, but you want to incorporate some airbrushing effects. This is the gadget for you. It works with all the different marker sizes, and we're even going to give a shot with this paint pen and see what happens. Probably going to make a mess, but that's not even working. Hang on a sec. Just jam it on the. Okay, yeah, you got to get them started. You can see it. You can see it go. It kind of works. I mean, if you want splatter effects, that's kind of cool. But anyway, I'm sure you could experiment with it and come up with a lot of really interesting things. Now I'm just ruining everything, making a horrible mess. But there it is in a nutshell. Still don't have a name for it. I don't know what to call it. Whatever. It's a universal marker airbrush attachment. Okay. Get yours today. So I've posted links to the 3D CAD files that you can 3D print yourself, or feel free to modify to accommodate whatever airbrush or marker you might be using. But I'm fairly confident that this design is universal and will work with just about any airbrush and any marker. So there'll be a list of materials that you would need. You still need to purchase the right screw, and I do have recommendations for the actual filament to use. But there you have it. I think it's a pretty good addition to any artist or designer studio. It's a universal, fully adjustable, professional airbrush marker accessory.